I've been through my fair share of hard times in my life. I have been stuck in drink and drug cycles. I've binged, eat and self-sabotaged. I've had financial struggles where I've continuously been in and out of debt. I've mentally exhausted myself through OCD, and I've also physically, mentally and spiritually burnt myself out many times. Now, even over this last 3 months, the first quarter of the year, outside looking in, I've had my challenges and it hasn't looked that great for me. I overcommitted to my app, I overcommitted to other investments, all whilst having the 3 worst months that I've had in business, and I'm down 43k. Alongside that, I've been injured multiple times, I've been ill multiple times and had to drop out and cancel many of my goals. So externally looking in, it looks like I'm failing, but internally I still felt at peace. And I woke up every single day, I stuck to my non-negotiables of reading, of training, of meditating, of practicing gratitude and getting through this, what I would deem as a hard and challenging time. Now, in the past, this 3 months that I've just had would have completely rocked me to the core. But the only way that I've been able to show up as the best version of me this last 3 months and still felt at peace is because of these 5 key things. The first key thing has been being the observer rather than being my mind. Fear, stress, worry, anxiety is all caused by your mind. Being the observer is when you're aware of your thoughts, your feelings and your behaviors rather than actually being them. Psychologists call this metacognition. It means that you're something outside of your mind. And spiritual people call this your higher self. I like to go with the second option. I actually think it's quite a spiritual thing. But the whole point of this is being outside of your mind rather than being your mind itself. I'll give you an example. This whole 3 months, I've had a voice in the back of my head saying, you're failing, you're behind, you're not going to sign no more clients, you're going to get even further in debt. Like, my mind is just catastrophizing and causing me more problems than it needs to cause me. Now, in the past, I would have identified with these thoughts and let them ruminate in my mind and then drag me down. So I'd always feel like worried and stressed and anxious and nervous every single day because I'm identifying with these thoughts. Now, when you become the observer, you become the observer of your thoughts. So instead of being your thoughts themselves, you take a step back and you see the thoughts that are going on in your mind rather than being them themselves. By you doing this, it enables you to take full control. And that's what this allowed me to do. Instead of ruminating in my mind and letting all of these thoughts take control of me, I took control. Whenever it comes to thinking patterns, it's usually stemming from an old belief system. And this old belief system is usually imprinted on you from either childhood or past experience. So all of these thoughts that were flowing in my mind, I know that they are not me. They're just limiting and negative thoughts that come from a past experience or a past belief. So if I start to observe my thoughts, not identify them, and then actually actively think about what it is I want to think, that's how I start creating new thought patterns and beliefs from my life. Now, how can you apply this to your own life? A question that I like to always ask myself is, am I being the observer or am I in my mind? Or am I aware? And that just simply means detaching from your mind and start viewing your thoughts rather than identifying with them. The second key thing is having a strong vision. I close my eyes and I can clearly see the success of my app, me public speaking on stages, me being an author, me building a massive community, me being financially free, me achieving all of my goals, dreams and aspirations. And because I can close my eyes and vividly see that, like I'm already lived or achieved that experience, that gives me so much confidence and belief when I'm ever going through a challenging time. Whenever I'm going through a challenging time, instead of focusing on what is actually happening, I focus on the end. So I close my eyes. This example, the last 3 months, I've had to invest another 25k in my app. I've had to invest another £11,000 into branding, right? And I've had to borrow money to make this happen. Now, a lot of people might not commit to their goals, dreams and aspirations because they start thinking about the debt and is this even gonna work out? When I was making all of them decisions, all I done was close my eyes and took myself to the end. And the end was me being financially free and the success of the app. So whenever I'm going through a hard and challenging time, having a strong vision is key for me, because I know whatever I'm going through right now is just a part of the process, and I can learn, I can grow, and I can develop to get where I want to go. Whenever you want great things in life, you have to expect to go through great adversity. And the funny thing is, when you get through it, you're so glad you went through it, because you learn lessons, you get equipped with tools, and you realize what you are truly capable of. If you're someone that struggles, with purpose, or you're struggling with a vision, one of the things that helped me is really understanding these 4 questions. And this is: who did I want to be? What goals I want? What life I want to live, and why? And I've created a 3-purpose framework and statement that I use every single day. If you would like to download this, click the link below. The 3rd key is having a strong why. If you have not got a strong why, it's going to be hard to understand why you have to keep going. Whenever my back's against the wall, whenever I've hit rock bottom, whenever I'm not feeling good and that comes into my mind, I'll remind myself of why I have to keep showing up regardless. I have 3 whys in my life. Number 1 is that I want to be an inspiration to my old self. I want to serve as many people as I can, because I went through hard and challenging times. And that relates to that app, for example. That's why I'm building it. So that's why I'm showing up with that. The other is to build generational wealth for my family, because when I grew up, I feel like I went without certain things, and I want to make sure they never have to go through the same struggles. And also, it's just making myself proud, because I always let myself down in the past. So I know that I have to show up for myself. Whenever I'm faced with a difficult or challenging time, I remind myself of why I can't give up. And that is the force that gets me up every single day, pushing and progressing to become my best self. Key 4 is having a growth mindset. There's a quote that I love, and it's: when you change the way you look at something, what you look at changes. And what does that mean? It just means changing your perspective. So whenever I'm going through a challenging or difficult time, instead of looking at it for what it is, I look at it as an opportunity to learn, to grow, to develop, and get better. Because as I said earlier, if you want great things in life, you're going to have to go through hard times. It is as simple as that. But when you're going through them hard times, it's so hard to see what lessons that you should be learning at that moment. It's only really in hindsight, when you come out on the other side of it, you look back and like, fuck, I was meant to go through that. Me, for example, all of them years of self-sabotaging on drink and drugs pushed me to go sober. So I'm so glad that I went through all of that adversity. All of the binge eating and self-destructive cycles has allowed me to build a better relationship with myself, with my nutrition, and with the way that I look. Right? Anytime that I've mentally, physically, and spiritually burnt myself out, it's because I was living my life not aligned with my values and not being my true self and what I actually enjoy doing. When I got through that and I looked back, I realized I needed to go through that. Anytime that I've gone through these cycles of debt, looking back when I come out of it, all of the lessons that I learned and the limiting beliefs that I discovered that I was then able to overcome completely changed my life. But it's hard when you're going through them challenging times to actually see what you should be learning. But one of the things that I've learned now is just like, when I'm going through these every single day, it's like, what am I learning today? Why am I being put through this? And looking at it more as like, this is happening for me and not to me. Because if you change your perspective, you can change your life. The 5th key is just having I am statements and knowing who you are at the core, right? I know that I am a great dad. I know that I'm abundant. I know that I'm a man of God. I know that I'm successful. I know that I am confident. And I know all of these things to the core, and I believe them to the core. And by me knowing exactly who it is that I am to the core, whenever something external doesn't match how I feel, I can't let it take me down. What do I mean by that? If I know at the core that I'm abundant, when I stop earning money, I can't let that rock me. I just know that at the core, I'm abundant and I'm successful. If I know that I am confident at the core, if things are not going right externally, I can't link my confidence to all of these things. I need to just remind myself that I am confident. If I know that I'm an athlete at the core, whenever I'm getting injured or I'm ill or I'm falling off my training a little bit, I can't let that negative external experience affect me how I internally feel. So regardless of what's going on external, if I just remind myself who I am at the core, that is what gives me my confidence. Nothing external can affect the internal if you truly believe that you are something. And that's what I've got. I know exactly who I am. Like the vision that I mentioned earlier. If I've got a clearly defined vision, it doesn't matter what goes on externally. As long as I believe it in my mind, I know I can achieve it. And it's the same thing when I've got these I am statements. If I know who I am to the core, regardless of what goes on around me, I truly believe I am who I say I am. And one thing that really helps me that I recommend that you're doing is just understanding who you are and creating some I am statements. So every single day I'll say to myself, I am a present and loving father. I am super confident. I am disciplined. I am consistent. I am resilient. I am a man of God. I am an athlete. I am abundant. All of these things remind me of who I am at the core. And if nothing external matches who I am, I don't let it rock me inside. As mentioned, the first quarter of the year externally didn't look that great, but internally it didn't affect me at all. And the reason is because I stayed the observer. I had a strong vision in my mind. I knew why I was showing up every single day. I had that growth mindset, and I made sure I remind myself of who I am every single day. And because I put these principles and practice in place, I stayed consistent, I stayed committed, but most importantly, I stayed internally fulfilled and at peace. And already this month, I managed to close my biggest deals. I'm back on track with my training, and everything has been going externally the way that I wanted it to go. And I know that if you apply these 5 key things to your life, you will not only achieve externally, but internally, you'll be more at peace, more in control, and more fulfilled in your life.